sink into that head. The past should stay buried and dead. You better listen to what Johnny Ray said.
Hello and welcome to the Ratio Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Ray, and as always, we are recording from beautiful downtown Athens, Georgia. And man, we have got a badass show for you tonight. We have the mighty Lord Ahriman from Dark Funeral on the Ratio Podcast today, so I'm super excited to have him on. We've wanted him to be on the show for some time, so it's good to finally get to chat with him. And they've been touring in support of the excellent We Are the Apocalypse from last year, and it's an amazing record, as is all of their back catalog, which I highly recommend you go and check out. The level of quality, that Lord Ahriman maintains in this band is nothing short of supernatural. So make sure to stick around for this awesome chat here in just a few. I want to thank everybody for the amazing response to the Johnny the Boy episode. Belinda and Justin were super cool, and I've gotten so much feedback from people that are checking out the record, their debut. So I can't be happier with how that went, and thank you so much for all your support. And we'll be coming back with a live show in October. We'll be announcing the guests soon. So up until then, I'll be we're going to have all kinds of podcast stuff going on. So the best place to check us out is at www.ratiopodcast.com. You can find wherever to stream, wherever you listen to podcasts, we've got a link on there for you to get to our show. But without further delay, let's get to our chat with Lord Ahriman. All right, everybody, we are on the Ratio Podcast today, and we have someone that I have been listening to for just decades, and that is Lord Ahriman of the mighty Dark Funeral. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty all right, thank you.
Good. Well, I want to lead out with you had hernia surgery. You snuck it in between tours. How's the recovery going?
It's going pretty good. I was to my physiotherapist this morning, and she had been talking to my doctor, who did the surgery, and he said that from now on, I have no limitation when it comes to going back to the gym or lifting weights and stuff like that. But of course, it's still swollen and still scarring. So. It's still, when I stretch the stomach, it hurts.
Right.
And if I push too much weight, it hurts. So, but the good thing was that no limitation. So it's just, I got to go by the feel,
Well, how's your pain level?
Pushing my too much.
How is your pain level on stage?
It's pretty high. I can handle a lot of pain.
Well,
so that's to my disadvantage in circumstances like this, because I don't know when it's time to stop.
Right.
So most of the time I kind of tip over, and then I'm more injured than I was before. So, but this time I'm really trying to take a step back and let the healing go well, But I'm not that kind of guy with lots of patience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be so hard to hold back during the shows, in order to continue on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to be focused. Yeah. Like, okay, now I got to get through this, and then don't think about, let the pain kind of disappear from your, thinking and just do it.
Right on. Well, you completed the Decibel magazine tour here in the States earlier this summer. How was this run compared? You had that momentum building last run with Cannibal Corpse. How was this tour?
Yeah, it was a good tour. I was expecting it to be a much smaller tour than the Cannibal. Of course, it was a little bit smaller, but not that much. I was expecting something different than the turnout. The turnout was amazing, so it was a great tour and lots of great feedback from the crowd, and so it took me by surprise.
Well, that's good to hear. You guys are touring still behind 2022's excellent "We Are the Apocalypse." Every Dark Funeral album is a reason for celebration, but this one seems to be getting extra buzz. How did these songs come together? How did this record come together?
Well, the process was pretty much the same as always. For the last couple of records, I've been writing by myself in my own home studio, so I can take the time I need, and I can really, go on a much deeper level when I write. So yeah, so it's just me with my, evil mind and dark thoughts, being creative in my own chamber,
Right on.
I guess.
Well, one of the singles from the record and a standout proper satanic video is for the song "Let the Devil In," and I go back to something like "Enriched by Evil," where it
Yeah.
has that sense of melancholy and then that just crushing melody to where in the back end, and I hear that similarity. What do you start with? Do you start with the melodies or you start with a riff?
It all comes with the melodies, and then during the process, during the writing process, when I feel like now I need a riff, riff, then I kind of work on that part. But everything starts with lots of different melodies, and sometimes it's just a part of the melody, and the final result is most of the time going to be something very different than the first version. But that's a good thing when you have a home studio. If you just get one small idea for something, I try to record it, even if it's not a complete idea. But those notes and usually builds into something completely different. That's a starting point to
Right.
to when I write. So I think lots of people maybe just throw away lots of small ideas, but I think that's where the greatness can come from, because that idea, there's a reason why you got the idea from the beginning. You just sometimes need to work on it a little bit to develop it into the greatness you want.
Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense what you're talking about because, how much pressure there's such a quality through the entire catalog. How much pressure do you put on yourself to maintain this level of quality? How hard does it get, so many years into this career?
Well, every time when I, approach myself like, okay, now it's time to start writing something, and I talked to the guys. We were talking about this actually this week, and then I explained to them a little bit more. So, because I like to be open, with the people I work with, so they know why sometimes I'm this way or that way or whatever. So they more understand that, and the only way they can do that is if you're open about it. So I kind of explained to them, like I'm going to tell you, it's like, if I start thinking about the whole album, it's just too overwhelming for me. Then I can't, focus on getting anything done. So I gotta start thinking about that one melody or that one riff, and just think in small pieces, and then after a while you usually get into this writing flow, and all you think about is the writing, the music you're writing, and everything outside kind of disappear. That's a perfect place to be when you're creative. But there's that period in the beginning that there's a lot of fighting internally, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, you have given Dark Funeral. You've talked about in past interviews of when you were getting into metal and going further than your friends into the darker realms of metal, which I can totally relate to. How inspiring were those early years of the band when everything's just really blowing off, man? It's just everything's kicking off, and it's so, you've got your youth, and tell me about those early years of the band.
Well, at that time, everything was more chaos than structured darkness, if you will. So you didn't really think so much, you just, you were young, you just, yeah, everything was more chaos. It's hard to explain, but it was a good time still. But I feel like as a songwriter, I understand, the music have helped me to understand myself a lot more, because I got to search deeper inside of me for every song I write. And that opens up a lot of things that I never thought about in the early days. So nowadays, I feel like the music have a stronger impact, and means have a more deeper meaning for me these days than before.
Well, do you have any, speaking of your back catalog, are there any albums that are notable to you that hold a special significance?
Each album reflects an era of its time when it's being written and created. So at that time, when it was written, that's when the meaning for that record is the strongest for me. Then I kind of move on, and when I start writing on another record, then I'm on a different place in my life and within my soul too. So I usually don't. It's hard to. Well, one defining moment was maybe when I had to kind of find myself as a songwriter for real. That was after the Secrets of the Black Arts record, and when the whole lineup kind of disbanded, and I decided to continue myself. That was, Vobiscum Stanas was the first record when I kind of, were left alone with the songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
That was lots of pressure on me, but I were kind of determined, and I had a great vision that I just wanted to keep following. So in that way, it was such a problem, but it's still, that was a record that, now it's up to you to prove what you're all about as a songwriter. But on the other hand, I had a great band, great lineup, and I had Taifas, the other guitarist that were playing with me at that time. Had a great input on the songs too. So, but I started with lots of pressure all by myself.
Right. Well, is there anywhere, given Dark Funeral's music, beliefs, presentation, do you still run into opposition in this day and age from religious groups in the U.S. and in Europe?
What do you mean?
Do you ever have people protesting your shows?
Oh yeah, it happens. Not so often, but it does happen. And most of the time, like in Georgia the last time, they stand there with their kind of hate speech, and they have no interest to talk with you or anything. I even tried to invite them to the show so they could experience, a real fucking Dark Funeral and a black metal show in general for the first time, because they're standing there screaming, and of course, I mean, we're on two different sides, but I still wanted to kind of invite them and show them what it's all about inside the venue with the crowd when the band and crowd are together. That's something they probably never experienced, and I think maybe that would be a eye opener for them if they are not too close minded, but maybe they are.
Yeah.
But still.
Well, that's considerate of you, and looking at I can't understand anyone standing out protesting something that they don't even know what the fuck's going on inside. So
Exactly.
Which seems totally
I
acceptable.
mean, I'm not there to convince them the otherwise, but at least I wanted to give them the chance to experience it so they know what they're talking about. Maybe they start hating us even more, who knows, but still, then they have the experience, and then they have more knowledge of what they are talking about, which people are too close-minded. They talk about this and that without having any kind of knowledge, and especially groups like that who kind of are the most judgmental people in the universe. So I feel like I mean, I'm confident in myself, so I'm not afraid to invite them to my show, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So that, yeah, that's just me.
Well, I appreciate you out there doing the work you're doing with us, because I mean, it's it's important. I mean, well, what are the plans for Dark Funeral coming the rest of 23 and going into 2024? I know you've got some Swedish dates coming up in October, correct?
Yeah, that's. I'm not sure if we're going to do much more shows this year apart from the Swedish dates. Of course, we're always open for offers, but I talked to our booking agencies, and we are working on some touring, all over the world for next year. We still haven't been to South America. We haven't been to Australia and Asia, and I know there's some interest in us doing another European tour, and we have touring visas for the US another 2 years. So we're basically just a flight away from coming over to the US again, and I hope we can do at least one more tour in the US and some big festivals. That would be awesome, but we'll see. I mean, it seems like next year is going to be another busy year.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that you guys are out spreading the word. We'd love to see you here in the States for another tour, and love to see you in Sin City at like Psycho Las Vegas or something like that. I think Dark Funeral would go over amazing at that.
Yeah, we had an offer to play there a couple of years ago, but our visas just ran out, and it's not financial possible to get a whole visa just for one show.
Yeah.
So we had to say no to that, and it sucks, but yeah, we couldn't just do it. But this time we got a different type of visa. So we have, as I said, we have visas for another 2 years, just to not come in the same situation where we have to turn down festivals and other tours. So we're definitely going to come back in the US. We're just looking into opportunities, and we see what we managed to land.
Right. Well, we got one more question for you, and it's the Ratio Podcast Metal Lightning Round. So basically, I'm just going to ask you an either-or question on these, and you ready to go?
It was I couldn't hear everything. It
okay,
was,
yeah, it's basically
losing the sound.
Basically, it's going to be a very quick lightning round. It's our Ratio Podcast lightning round. So I'm just going to ask you a series of questions about records. So first one, favorite Iron Maiden album, Killers, or Iron Maiden's Killers, or Number of the Beast?
Number of the Beast.
Judas Priest, Turbo, or Ram It Down?
Ram It Down.
Deicide's Once Upon the Cross or In the Minds of Evil?
In the Minds of Evil.
Right on. Man, I love that fucking record.
It's a good one.
Metallica's 72 Seasons or Hardwired to Self-Destruct?
I can't really say that I listen too much to them, so I can't really tell.
Right on. Entombed's Left Hand Path or Clandestine?
Left Hand Path. But that's also different. Those two records means different things for me. And I was hanging out a lot with Lars at that time, so I have lots of personal relationships to those records.
Right.
This is a tough one.
Well, this one may be tough too. How about Samael's Worship Him or Blood Ritual?
Blood Ritual.
Oh, yeah, man. And the last one, King Diamond's The Eye or Conspiracy?
The Eye.
Right on, man. Right on. I love the fucking Eye. Lord Ahriman, thank you so much for coming on the Ratio podcast. What's the best place for our listeners to get info on yourself and the Mighty Dark Funeral?
Well, we have quite active social media channels like Instagram and Facebook, but always good to check out the official website too, because we all know how much Facebook is limiting the reach to people. So even if we almost have 1 million followers, maybe 300 get to see the news we post there. So
right.
If we don't pay for it, so always check the official website too.
Well, yeah, everybody do that, and best of luck to you the rest of this year and going into 2024, man.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I want to thank Lord Ahriman for coming on the Ratio podcast and being so kind with his time. Super fun chat, and make sure to check out We Are the Apocalypse, their latest record from 2022 on Century Media Records. Also, I just want to give a shout out to the wonderful human being who edits all of our podcasts, Mr. Brant Duncan. So if you are in the market for someone to work with you on your audio project, get in touch with us here at the Ratio, and we'll get you in touch with Brant. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Stay switched on, and we will talk to you soon.